Imagine fighting off hijackers and barely making it out of the plane alive. And the cops immediately arrest you. And you are an ex-police officer, no less. Great. Now you have to fight off these idiots before you can even think about freeing the hostages. Let's see how John does it. In the movie's initial moments, we find Charles immersed in a surgical setting, surrounded by doctors poised to change his face for the 10th time. Remarkably, Charles opts to endure the procedure without anesthesia, relishing the pain and preferring to remain fully conscious throughout the transformation. Outside the medical facility, a group of cops gathers, acting on a tip about Charles's whereabouts. The chief cop alerts the team to the imminent danger, emphasizing Charles's formidable skills as a lethal assassin capable of single-handedly taking down multiple adversaries. The tension escalates as the officers prepare to infiltrate the 13th floor surgery room. Despite their preparations, Charles proves to be well prepared and anticipates the impending confrontation. As the cops breach the room, he efficiently dispatches them, showcasing his proficiency in combat. The chief doctor narrowly evades the onslaught of bullets, making a desperate escape through the corridors. Having narrowly escaped the cops, Charles smashes through a window on the 13th floor and gracefully free falls, landing without a scratch. His agility suggests an unusual comfort with leaping from heights. Despite his speedy escape, the police, armed with cars, manage to corner Charles. After 15 years of elusiveness, they finally apprehend him. The mystery of his escape remains, leaving questions about his extraordinary abilities. The story shifts to an airplane, where Marty, a flight attendant, checks on passengers. Suddenly, a suspicious man pulls out a gun, taking Marty hostage. To everyone's surprise, Marty expertly kicks the man's leg, enabling another passenger to disarm him. The applause that follows reveals it was a practice session to train flight attendants in self-defense. This unexpected twist connects Charles's capture to a new storyline aboard the airplane. The contrast between Charles's elusive escape and Marty's bold self-defense training adds intrigue. This guy, John Cutter, turns out to be a decorated soldier and retired Secret Service agent. Sly Delvecchio, the airline's general manager and John's apparent friend, urges him to return to action. John, however, declines, stating he no longer wants to risk his life. Sly offers him the role of heading the counterterrorism unit at the airline, assuring only a 2-day work commitment each month. John, after some thought, agrees, seeing it as a manageable arrangement. Meanwhile, Charles is taken to his cell where his attorney reveals a dire situation. Authorities plan to take him to California for execution unless he pleads insanity. Charles rejects the suggestion, expressing, "I am not insane," and forcefully reacts by slamming the attorney against the table. The plot thickens as John Cutter reluctantly steps back into a world of security, contrasting with Charles's predicament. In the following scene, we find John shirtless, reflecting on his past through meditation. The movie takes us back to a convenience store where John and his late wife face a tragic incident. Attempting to stop a robber, John's wife becomes a victim, leading him to take the assailant's life in return. The trauma prompts John to abandon his special agent role and withdraw from society. Returning to the present, John readies himself for his new role, tasked with safeguarding a sizable Lockheed airline. Assigned to seat number 57, coincidentally, the movie's namesake, John embarks on his mission to protect nearly 200 passengers. On the same flight, Charles and 2 FBI agents are present, hinting at a journey to California. Among the flight attendants are Marty and the young Sabrina. This scene delves into John's painful past, providing insight into his decision to re-enter the security domain. The connection between John's history, his new assignment, and the presence of Charles on the flight intensifies the suspense. As the flight progresses, a young boy playfully pretends to shoot Charles, who humorously feigns being struck. When Charles retaliates with a similar gesture, his concealed handcuffs are accidentally revealed, sparking concern among nearby passengers. Sabrina, attempting to maintain calm, discreetly signals for assistance from a suspicious staff member in the lower deck. She receives a metal briefcase containing unexpected contents. Meanwhile, John, seeking solitude from his talkative seatmate, retreats to the restroom. Sabrina retrieves a firearm from the briefcase and, to everyone's shock, targets and incapacitates 2 FBI agents. With Charles now free from restraints, his associates reveal themselves and assert control over the frightened passengers. It becomes apparent that Charles orchestrated the events, exploiting the presence of the FBI agents to execute his plan. The unfolding chaos and calculated actions reveal the meticulous nature of Charles's scheme, catching both the passengers and John off guard. In the following scene, Charles takes control of the cockpit, asserting dominance by eliminating one of the pilots. He broadcasts over the radio, officially declaring the plane's change of course in the hijacking situation. Despite the alarming turn of events, he assures the passengers that cooperation will spare them from harm. John, still in the restroom, overhears the announcement and is gripped with fear. Resourcefully, he utilizes the onboard phone to inform his friend Sly about the unfolding crisis. Seizing an opportunity, John disarms one of the hijackers and uses him as a shield when confronting Charles. In a tense standoff, Charles briefly seizes Marty, creating a high-stakes situation. However, he releases the flight attendant and unexpectedly shoots an innocent man to demonstrate his resolve. When he aims at John, the shot unintentionally takes down one of Charles's accomplices. Amid the chaos, John and Marty make a swift escape, taking an elevator to the cargo hold. There they encounter the earlier suspicious individual and question him about the hijackers. The man feigns shock but unexpectedly brandishes a knife, attempting to attack John. John defeats the adversary with a skillful kick, securing him for capture. With the threat subdued, John and Marty proceed to the avionics section to devise a plan. John suggests dumping the fuel to force an emergency landing, despite Marty's initial reluctance due to the risk of crashing. After John convinces her it's their only option, Marty reluctantly agrees. As they deplete the fuel, they prepare to exit the plane using the landing gear to minimize injuries upon landing. Charles, sensing the dwindling fuel, directs the pilots to make an emergency landing at the nearest airport. Meanwhile, Sly and his superiors at Atlantic International Headquarters receive intel that the hijacked plane plans to land at a small airstrip in Lake Lucille, Louisiana. Swiftly taking action, Sly boards a helicopter and heads to the location to intervene. John and Marty wait for the plane to land so they can jump out of it. When the plane stops, they prepare to jump, but a hijacker surprises them from behind. John is pushed out of the plane while Marty is taken hostage. Two cops arrive and arrest John, ignoring his claims of being the head of security. Charles contacts the control tower and demands the plane be refueled within 10 minutes in exchange for releasing 100 passengers. The sheriff, Mr. Biggs, refuses, so Charles kills 5 passengers to make a statement. This frightens Mr. Biggs, who reluctantly agrees to refuel the plane. John is taken to the control tower, where Mr. Biggs, the sheriff, starts suspecting him as part of the hijacking. Charles cunningly calls Mr. Biggs, lying that John is a betrayer from his group. Convinced, Mr. Biggs orders John to be locked in the basement. However, John impressively fights off the officers, commandeers a police motorcycle, and heads to the airstrip. As the refueled plane releases 100 passengers, Charles seizes the opportunity to sneak away with his accomplices to a nearby fair. The FBI finally arrives at the control tower, where Mr. Biggs reports the situation. To everyone's surprise, the head agent reveals that John is actually an undercover agent. Meanwhile, at the Carnival fair, John discreetly tails Charles and his men. Unfortunately, his cover is blown, leading to a chaotic confrontation. When a hijacker attempts to shoot John but misses, the like and subscribe button is hit. An innocent bystander is hit, creating further turmoil. On a Ferris wheel, John confronts a hijacker in a brief scuffle leading to the man's accidental fatal fall. Seizing the moment, John surprises Charles, subduing him successfully. As the FBI and local officers apprehend Charles, Sly Delvacchio arrives, congratulating John on handling the situation. However, the true challenge emerges when Charles threatens to harm passengers unless released. Despite John's attempts to negotiate, the officials decide to comply with Charles's demand but devise a cunning plan. They strategically position snipers on a nearby building, intending to neutralize Charles and the hijackers upon their reappearance. As Charles and his accomplices are allowed back onto the plane, the snipers remain poised for action. John assumes leadership of the mission, and as Charles is being led to the plane by FBI agents, a surprising twist unfolds. The earlier suspicious individual has taken out the original snipers and is now attacking the FBI agents. A chaotic shootout erupts between the hijackers and agents, resulting in casualties, including the suspicious man. Undeterred, the plane begins to take off, prompting John and Sly to join Mr. Biggs in a car chase. Their audacious plan involves latching onto the plane's retractable landing gear to gain access. Despite its extreme danger, John effortlessly clings to the landing gear, making his way inside. Once in the cargo hold, he eliminates one of the hijackers and silently subdues Sabrina. With only Charles remaining, John addresses the passengers from the cockpit, redirecting the plane back to the Lake Lucille airstrip. In the climactic showdown, John, despite being a skilled fighter, finds himself evenly matched with Charles. Their intense fight leads to a stray bullet shattering a window, causing a loss of air pressure in the plane. The main door blows out, and Marty is left hanging for dear life next to the broken exit. Acting swiftly, John positions Charles near the broken exit, and after exchanging final blows, John prevails by kicking Charles out of the plane. With Charles defeated and the threat neutralized, the passengers celebrate, displaying a mix of relief and joy. John contacts his superiors, informing them of Charles's elimination, bringing happiness to the control tower. In the final scene, the plane lands and all passengers are safely escorted off. John, weary of the chaos and his tax troubles, opts not to face reporters. Instead, he walks away with Marty, now his girlfriend. The movie concludes as Sly proudly speaks to reporters, claiming responsibility for the entire operation. YouTube says you will like the video popping up on your screen now. If it's right, check it out. If not, well, subscribe to the channel so you can see more of what you will actually like. Thanks for tuning in. Take care.